it's Kuro. Uh, Doing a redo on this video because I don't know what happened to the audio the original time. I think my mic messed up. Going over the matchmaking, we've got double tier 8 CVs. Fortunately, no radar. Ognivoy, Sims, Icarus. And obviously, if you've read the discussion on the forums, this is basically about CVs and you know the play style of CVs. One of the things I've seen crop up is a general. It seems like a generally accepted statement that a CV is supposed to basically focus down the enemy destroyers as quickly as they can throughout the game. And I see that on Reddit. I see that on the WoW's forum. Um, and listening to really good CV players talk about this, I don't I don't hear that coming from them, and I wonder if this is something that is um, something just like an overreaction from the forum. I see it all the time with radars, you know killed destroyers, or it seems every new threat that comes along has ruined destroyers. And I mean, I just don't see that with the class. Now, what I'm circling here is DD's using your concealment. This guy got spotted because he popped his AA. He activated it, and the CV just circles right in on him and goes for him. And it's that kind of foolishness that's gonna cost you. Me, I was just playing nice and chill. I'm watching the planes. There's no need for me to reveal myself, and that leaves me, with this option to sneak up here, and I'm gonna try to pull off a little ambush on this Ognivoy. I'm gonna pre-fire some torps out here. Maybe I get lucky. One at the indicator, one short. As soon as he comes around the island, I'm on the guns. Dispersion bug sucks. Now here I've slammed on the brakes. I saw the smoke here. I want to keep this guy lit as long as possible. I see that my CV's got planes over his head right now, and he's going to be spotted for a bit because he just panic smoked. And I'm able to pick him up with that last volley. And that's an example of how you don't want to play destroyers. Take a look. Look at all the support I have up here. Look at the support he had down here. Do the arithmetic. If this is closer than this, you can't push this. It's literally impossible for you to push that. Because I had more support than he did, I had the ability to play aggressive and basically pick the fight with him and take the fight with him, and you know with the help of the CV got a really good drop in there because he did the worst thing possible and sailed straight away from the dive bombers, and Lexington dive bombers are still extremely punishing. That's going to be something that's going to get changed in 8.4, and as soon as this happens, this video is going to land all over the CV meta like a ton of bricks, because gone are going to be the days that a CV is just going to be able to straight nuke a destroyer. What's going to happen is it's going to be a process of slow attrition, and it's going to take multiple squads, 3, 4, 5 different squads flying out here attacking multiple times to work down a destroyer. I want you to pay attention to just how many times I get dropped here. I've got Lexington planes coming over my head. Now, that's interesting that the all of the symbols die out when I go to reinforce the sector. Um, but I'm going to talk about, my course of action. I don't want to give this CV the ability to get a clean drop on me. So what I do, I sail right for the bombers. That means that that this CV has the quickest reaction time possible. Most of the time that means he can't drop me. He's got to sail past me. Now when he sails past me, or flies past me, excuse me, um, he is confronted with an issue. The issue is the Otago AA. If he really goes out, the King George AA. And the choice is he can either, you know, keep flying along and attack one of these guys and dodge the flak in the process, or if he decides I want to go after that destroyer, he's got to execute, some sharp turn to come back to try to re-engage me. And when he does that, he loses most of his ability to dodge flak, and that's when the flak will really start to become effective. His squad will take significant losses, and he will lose the ability to actually attack me multiple times. And you can see here, he's turning out. Now, I'm gonna do the same thing. He's coming right back for me. I turned and sailed right back into him, and I paused it in the video to talk about it. Um, by turning in, I basically prevented him from getting an accurate drop on me. His reticle hadn't had time to shrink down, and the narrow profile, the rockets just go around me on either side, and I take very minimal damage out of this drop. Now I know that he's going to circle back around, so what am I going to do? I'm just going to pop smoke. I don't want to sit here and get shot at these guys this whole time. I am taking the dangerous approach. I smoke up, and then I move in my smoke, so if he just tries to drop my last known location, he's not going to hit me. Now I'm just waiting. I'll be patient. Go away, CV. Now my CV drops a plane on top of my head. That's a really good play for CV players. And I see one of the enemy CVs, he just recalls his planes. He just says, "The hell with this, I'm out." And the reason why I'm being so aggressive here, the enemy team has completely just surrendered this end of the map. Um, there's nothing for me here, so I'm trying to cut across the middle of the map as quickly as possible to reinforce a decap. Um, that's pretty much my objective. I don't have anything to torp right now. I last saw the Sims headed up in this direction. Thought he might be trying to ambush either me or the Jervis. Just threw some perspective out torpedoes out there. Now I'm waiting here to see if the Sims is gonna come this way, basically this way, pick a fight with my Jervis. If he does, I want to shoot him here. I'm gonna see RPF switch here in a second to the island. That tells me that the Sims is actually heading back towards the decap. And you see it switch. I'm just gonna keep moving out and keep shadowing this guy. And I see the Sims pop up, and I know the Jervis and the Sims, they're going to be working out their issues, and I don't want this to be a one-on-one fight. So I'm going to jump in here and say my piece. Now, I, one thing that I'm seeing form up right now is this double Bismarck push. We've got ships here, uh, but this double Bismarck push is going to be really strong, rushing right through decap. Uh, and I'm already making the decision in my head that regardless of what happens, I need to get into this position and get torps across here and do my best to break up that push. Um, I'm still going to, you know, work on the sims because I don't want my Jervis to be fighting alone. Getting some alright damage. It's nothing to write home about. The guns on Yukikaze seem a little more wonky than I'm used to on Kagero. Um, but the Sims ends up smoking up. Now here comes the airplane, and I'm just gonna ignore it. I mean, I'm gonna tank this damage. He gets a pretty good hit in there. So what? Uh, I'm right where I want to be. Go on ahead and push, guys. I dare you. CV's coming back in. I'm not even really looking. I've dropped the torps out. It's important to note the CV can't spot my torp, so I do not care about, you know, any sort of plane spotting or anything like that. Now, you see, I took a good bit of damage there, but what I'm getting in return is, well, these torpedoes are going to break this push. If you look, the push on the 9 and 10 line has faltered, and it's up to these Bismarcks to kind of shove through here and work through the cap. And you know, by being aggressive and using my hit points to basically push into a really good torp launch position, I'm gonna be able to deal pretty much. It's not a lot of damage, but it's devastating to the enemy because it ends their ability to seriously make a play for this end of the map. Um, and in my opinion, it's worth that HP trade. Now, this is something that I think maybe a lot of uh, destroyer players would be uncomfortable because you're going to be plane spotted. You're going to be, you know, taking damage from the CV, taking damage from the enemy team shooting at you. These Bismarcks are both going to have their secondaries on me. There's going to be a lot going on uh, with me, but this is a game-winning, you know, maneuver right here. Um, if you look, the enemy has completely fallen apart in the west. They're fleeing for their lives. Their only option is to try to push through here and try to take this side of the map. I mean, we do have a Lexington that they could kill, and that could pose some problems for my team. Now, I'm going to pause it here because this is actually another really sneaky trick. If you've got smoke, the CV's got your stern. He's coming up from the worst angle that that he could possibly attack you. Just pop your smoke. You don't need to be inside your smoke. It just breaks line of sight here. If you notice, I'm outside the smoke. I'm still not spotted. He's going to have a difficult time dropping me because it's not like I stopped. I kept moving. Um, and here we go. The CV, he's missed his drop. You look, these Bismarcks, they're not having a good day. I take one out, do 15k to the other one. He's flooding, and I'm just on the guns. You know, want to try to work this guy over, help my team out. Bismarck's got an unrepairable fire now. I think he finally repaired the flood. Now I do make an error up here. I'm looking at the mini map, and what I don't know when this guy's repair is, but I'm counting in my head, and it's likely that he's going to be able to repair soon, and I'm worried about him ramming this Massachusetts. And so I'm going to make a aggressive play here, and it's the wrong play. Uh, the Bismarck doesn't get a heal off, and I actually missed these CV planes. And I launched these torps here, and I thought that this Massachusetts was going slower than he was. And the Bismarck just fell apart, and this Massachusetts is going to eat one of my torps. I'm trying to click now, trying to warn this guy, but honestly, F3 torpedoes, they cut both ways. They don't leave anything much in the way of reaction time. He's going to eat a torp, and that's 100% my fault. Uh, you know, that's muscle memory from me being playing competitively, where I can tell my teammates slam on the brakes. You've got torpedoes blocking the ram, and that's just that's something that's very common with how we play. Massachusetts eats two Sims torps. Again, Lexington's coming in to attack this Massachusetts. Unfortunately, this Massachusetts is broadside to this Colorado, and it might have been the Amagi, might have been the Colorado, but somebody just lit him up. And again, just wasn't giving the enemy CV any free attack there. Just stayed dark. He's going to come in. He's going to try to drop me now. He does get a good chunk of damage in here. But I've got my smoke back up. I'm just going to chill out. And I'm just going to start working on this enemy push here. I mean, me and this Sims, we're going to shoot at each other a bit in the smoke. And then I see this low HP Colorado. He looks like a nice kill. The Sims is still trying to push me off this Colorado. I do pick up a fire on the Colorado. I take one last blind fire, and now I'm just moving out, just getting torp safe. The one fire burns down the Colorado. And that leaves us at 880 points to 301. Now this Sims gets spotted by the enemy CVs, and he's got both of them coming for him. And one of them smacks him good with the rockets, the other drops torps on him, and picks up the kill. And that means decap's now open for business. So I'm gonna push up here and see what I can do about maybe capping this. I would like to try to get some additional damage. This game isn't it isn't the level of performance that I usually get out of this ship damage wise. But I picked this game because it's a really good example of trying to deal with double CVs and everything that goes with it. Now I don't have any smoke. I'm just trying to, if I cap this point, it's just good for my XP. Ideally, I'd like to see if I can torp this Atago, so I'm sailing up here, and I'm actually going to leave the cap to try to buy some additional time to damage farm. Now I'm looking, this fusion had gotten detected, I think, by the Atago, and I'm gonna wait until this guy actually turns away. He smokes, turns away from the Atago, then I'm gonna launch those torps. By doing that, he's got no way of actually steering back into my torps. I see we've got a low health Arizona over here. I'm just gonna pop out and keep this guy lit. And unfortunately, the Atago turned 100% out, headed to the map border, and that's going to make my torpedoes miss. My team finishes off the Arizona, and that basically pushes us over um, the 1,000 points. So I mean, this game I got focused down a lot by uh, the enemy CVs, and it was one of those things that I don't I question whether that they could do better instead of attacking me, hitting the stuff that was defending CCAP and trying to open the way for, for example, the guys on the 9 and 10 line that are bleeding HP right, left, and center to our cruisers and battleships. Um, if, targeting those guys and applying that pressure to move them out of position or kill them outright, I wonder if that could have helped them win that end of the map rather than trying to hit a destroyer that, aside from that one torpedo launch that, you know, crippled that push, is I wonder if that's a better idea. And it's something that I'm mulling over in my head. I'm reading the forum. I'm just trying to get people's opinion on it. Uh, Simply because I think this is something that should be discussed. There's a lot of misconceptions about tactics and strategy that Reddit and the forums they turn into echo chambers, and everybody's screaming the same thing, and nobody's ever stopping to, or seemingly very few people are stopping to think, is this actually rooted in truth? You know, is what's being accepted as, standard practice or a good practice, is that actually rooted in some sort of actual strategy, actual, methodology to actually get a win? And right now, I don't think it is. Um, and I think that after 8.4, if the HE dive bombers get their drop pattern changed, CVs are no longer going to have any method to just out and out hammer a destroyer unless the destroyer is basically asking for it. Um, and then you're going to end up with situations where CVs are going to be wasting, 10, 12 minutes out of the game trying to strike out a single destroyer. And what could that carrier have done in the meantime? I mean, 10, 12 minutes of, torpedo and dive bomber strikes can rack up a massive amount of damage on battleships and cruisers, easily killing a couple. And I that's what I hear these really good CV players talk about. Um, they only really go after destroyers as if they need to reset a cap, or if the destroyer is basically in the way for their team, at which point they'll start focusing on, spotting and attacking the destroyer just to get it out of the way of their team. And hearing them talk about it, they're more the grease that helps their team move through the map, and that's how they're attacking. They're going after the big dot damage with fires on battleships. Um, the HE or bombers in general are pretty effective against cruisers, things like that. Um, That's what I hear from the really good CV players. And it completely clashes with what I hear on the forums, and that's why I want to have this discussion. So leave some comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night.